Find your reading book, boys and girls. The reading book that looks like this right here. Okay, same one you used yesterday. And I want you to turn all the way over to page number 15. It's got the story, The Nest. If you need to pause it while you get your reading book, go right ahead. Or if you just want to look at the book on the screen, you can. The title is The Nest. The author is Carol Roberts. The illustrator is Nina de Polonia. We can see a bird inside a nest, and the bird has something in its mouth, a worm. Maybe the bird has babies in there and it's feeding the worm to the babies. Or maybe it's just taking the worm back to its nest. We'll have to read to find out why he has that worm. Okay? Or she. Now, I want you by yourself to just take a picture walk, and I'm going to give you a minute. Take a picture walk through your story, look at your pictures, and be deciding what are some of the things you can tell by the pictures that are going to happen in the story. Take a minute and do that by yourself. After you've finished, turn to page 16 of your book. Page 16. This is fiction. That means it's not true, but it's realistic fiction. You hear the word real? That means it could really happen. We're going to look at this, and before I read, I'm going to ask myself some questions that help me think about what could be happening in the story. Now look at the pictures, and I'm wondering, where are the children? What is this girl pointing at? And I'm going to look for answers to those questions as I read the story. Put your finger under the word and listen, and you can read with me if you can read these words. Max! Jen! Exclaimed Quinn. Look, I see a nest. Well, guess what? Our question was just answered. She was pointing to a nest. I think she sees something outside, probably a nest. Where do you think she's at? Probably in the classroom. And we know the kids' names, Max, Jen, and Quinn. We met the characters. Okay, read with me. Can you see the nest? Asked Quinn. I see it, said Max and Jen. Where do the children see a nest? Yes, in a tree outside their classroom. Okay, and we know that because the picture shows the children inside a classroom looking out the window there at a bird's nest in a tree. Okay, let's turn the page here and see the next page. Read with me. Can you see the bird? Asked Mrs. Webb. Yes, it is a mockingbird, said Quinn. Now you think about sometimes we stop and ask ourselves questions when we're a good reader. I wonder, what is a mockingbird? What kind of bird is a mockingbird? What is the mockingbird doing in the nest there? Why does it build a nest? Remember, a lot of times good readers ask themselves questions. I see the word Mrs. Webb. That's probably their teacher. Mrs. is a short way of writing an abbreviation for Mrs. that tells that a woman is married if it's Mrs. M-R-S period. Okay, let's keep reading to see if we can find the answers to our questions. The nest was made of twigs. It had grass in it. So how does the bird make the nest? It weaves twigs and grass together. And how do we know? Because the words say the nest is made of twigs and grass. And the pictures show that the bird adding twigs and grass to the nest. I thought that was a worm, but that's twigs and grass that he's carrying. Okay, the next page. Put your finger into the words and read with me. The grass will make it soft, said Ben. I see twigs and leaves, said Wes. Who do you think Ben and Wes are? Right, that's more probably kids at the school, don't you think? Okay, on the next page. I see bits of paper, said Liz, probably another classmate. We can write about it, said Jen. So, what do you think Jen wrote about in her journal here? This is a journal. What do you think she wrote about? She probably wrote about the bird and the materials it used to make its nest. I feel like that's what she's doing. And so we know so far that the nest is made out of grass and twigs and leaves and maybe even little bits of paper. Okay, next page. Read with me. Keep your finger to the word. One day, a surprise was in the nest. Eggs, the kids said. We see eggs with dots. Now I see why the mockingbird built the nest. Okay? Because it needed to put what in it? Eggs, right. Remember, birds lay eggs. I wonder what will happen to the eggs. I keep reading to see if I can find out the answer to this question. For the next page. We will look at the nest every day, said Mrs. Webb. Will we see baby birds? Asked Quinn. Soon, everyone asked. Okay, let's think about this for a minute. What do you think they're going to keep writing in their journals? Probably what they see every day in the nest, to see if anything changes. In a journal, you usually write something about every day. Okay, the next page. Let's keep reading. The bird sat on the nest. This made the eggs warm. The bird sat and sat for days. Okay, the two pictures here are almost the same, aren't they? But one is at night and one is during the day. The word sat is repeated. So that must mean that the bird sat for a long time. The bird sat on the nest. The bird sat and sat. So he must have sat for a very long time. Keep reading with me. One day, the kids see baby birds. So, what happens in the middle of this story? The baby birds hatch. You think they're going to fly out of the nest? Let's see. So here we can see the different stages of them hatching out. Let's keep reading. Okay, put your finger into the words. The mom fed the baby birds. The dad fed the baby birds. What questions might you ask yourself about the baby birds? Can you think of something you might ask that you want to figure out? Maybe, what do the baby birds eat? Can the baby birds fly? What will the baby birds do next? Remember, we can keep reading to find the answers to our questions. Next page. The baby birds look soft, said Liz. Soon they will get big feathers, said Quinn. How have the baby birds changed? How have they changed? Yes, they're bigger, they look fluffier, and they have more what? They've grown more feathers, right. Okay, let's keep reading. Turn the next page, put your finger into the words. Every day, the birds try to fly. Can they fly yet? The kids asked. How did the baby birds learn to fly? Probably their parents would have to show them how to. They try and try until they can fly, just like when you're learning to walk. Your parents show you how, and you have to keep trying and trying when you're a baby until you learn. Okay, the next page. The baby birds try. Then the baby birds can fly. Now, what do you think will happen now that the baby birds can fly? What do you think might happen? They're probably going to fly away and find their own home. Let's read the last page here. One day, it was quiet. The nest was empty. It was fun to see the baby birds. Okay, so was our prediction correct? Yes, the nest was empty. That means there's nothing there. So the baby birds probably flew away to find a new home once they could fly. So you can see the children watching out the window. So the characters are who? They're the children. Where did the story take place? At school, right, and outside the window of the school. And when did it take place? Sometimes during the day, sometimes during the night. Most of the time, the kids were probably at school during the day. Okay, so this was a realistic story. The things could have really happened, but they didn't really happen. Okay, well, that's it for today.